Hello everyone, so I am back with another video, and in this video I'm going to show you how I use these new Iron Orchid design molds. Now, it was a little bit of a learning process because it was one of my first times that I had actually used the molds in the clay, but as you'll see, I think they all turned out really nice, and I'm going to incorporate some Dollar Tree items and just kind of make it a fun Christmas project. So to start with, here's the air dry clay. Now this clay, when I used it, I didn't realize that being in Arizona, the temperature's warmer here and my clay was really soft. So one of the learning things that I went through, as you'll see, is I probably should have used some arrowroot or cornstarch because my clay was so soft that it just kind of stuck in the mold and I couldn't get a good release. And I wanted to show you this part of the video in case you do the same thing. With the hopes that hopefully you might learn from my mistakes and not make the same ones that I did. But I can say that the clay is very easy to work with. And what you see me doing here is I just took an amount of clay that I thought would be enough to fill the cavity of the mold there, and I'm pressing it down, and then I'm going to use a leftover membership card, an old one that I don't use anymore, and use that to scrape off the excess clay there. I just want to get a nice smooth flat surface. I'm not sure what I'm going to use this on yet, but yeah, I thought if I needed it, as an ornament or something, I'd want to have a nice smooth back there. Okay, and then I went ahead and I did another snowflake there, a larger one. I skipped forward. I didn't want to show too much of this part because, again, this is one that I majorly messed up on because I should have used the cornstarch or arrowroot powder and I didn't. And you're going to see here that it just did not release for me because, again, the temperature, it's just so warm in my studio. It's still warm here in Arizona. I think it was like 80 some degrees today. It's crazy for November. But, and I think I filmed this 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it was way too soft. And you're seeing that I'm just struggling trying to get it out from the mold. So if you do have this problem that you see me doing right here, just get some arrowroot powder or cornstarch, and I'll show you. You could just sprinkle your clay in a little bit of that and put a little on your mold and it works like a charm. But I did get this one anyway. It wasn't perfect because I stretched it a little bit. So let me show you the correct way to do it if you are in a warmer climate and your clay is super soft and you're struggling to get the clay to release from the mold. And you can see here, this one just, it just gets annihilated. Yeah, poor thing, poor snowflake. It needs some help. It just did not make it. So I'm just gonna take the clay and reuse it. And you do want to make sure that any extra clay you're not using, you store it in an airtight bag because it will dry out on you. Okay, so here you see me taking some arrowroot powder. I just happen to have that on hand, is why I chose that over cornstarch. I can't tell you if one works better than the other. And I also sprinkled a little on my clay. So, I could already tell. I guess it's kind of like when you're making bread dough and your dough is way too sticky, so you need to pat a little flour on it to make it so it's workable and you can knead it. That's what this reminded me of. And again, it just made a world of difference. It made it so much easier to work with. And once I got the hang of it, I just went to town. And what you see me doing here is I'm just taking my thumb and removing some of the excess clay, rubbing it against the edge of the mold there. And you can see how much easier it comes out from the mold. It just, again, it made all the difference. So hopefully if you watch this video and you've ever wanted to play with the clay in the molds, but you struggled with it because you didn't use cornstarch or, you know, the arrowroot powder and just couldn't get the clay to release from the mold, that was the game changer for me. And I believe it had everything to do with the warmer climate that I live in, and it just made the clay a lot softer. And so here I'm making another one. These just, they're so pretty. Now, when I did this video, I wasn't sure how I was going to incorporate these castings of these snowflakes. I wasn't sure if I was going to incorporate them with some home decor projects or use them as ornaments. I just loved them though. I thought that they were just pretty and thought I was going to do something with them. But I do show how easy they are to paint up and just add a little wax, and you get these beautiful, beautiful snowflake embellishments. And so I thought I'd show a few of the other ones aside from just this larger snowflake. You can see some of the ones that didn't turn out so well. Again, it was a learning experience for me because I think I only tried this one other time, and it was a long time ago. It was with Iron Orchid clay, and I think that they might have changed the formulation of their clay a little bit. I'm not sure. It just seems like this is so much easier to work with than what I remembered. But again, it could have been because I wasn't using the cornstarch or the arrowroot powder. But I wanted to show you some of these other snowflakes so you could see how pretty these are. And, you know, again, unfortunately, I can't get any more of these snowflake molds, but I do have some other molds in stock that I'm just really excited to try out. And one is the it's Lock and Key, I think, and Classic Elements. That is a really cool mold as well. So if you're wanting to just kind of have a little fun with some clay and molds, check out some of my other molds that I have in stock. And you can see where I just, you know, had some of the excess clay and it just comes right off from there. And yeah, I love these. Lots of fun. Okay, so what I'm going to do is after this one, I'm going to show you how I paint them up. Again, super easy to paint, and if you just add a little bit of the wax to it, metallic wax, it just, it adds that little bit of wow factor, as you'll see. Now, when I went to dry some of these, I thought some of these might look really pretty on those Dollar Tree vases or jars. So I had some of them dry to give it a curved shape so it would glue onto my vase nice and easily. And I decided that I liked it. So I went ahead and decided to use this, incorporate this into one of my Dollar Tree projects. So again, I got the glass vase from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use these two snowflakes for my project here. So what I did is I took some burnt umber paint. I kind of mixed my own. I added a little bit of black and a brown color. I couldn't find my burnt umber, so I just took brown and black to kind of give more of a burnt umber. And I know that snowflakes are generally white, but I was really going for, you know, that vintage antique look. So I thought I'd start with the burnt umber shade first. I did discover that it really helped to water down my paint to really get in all of those crevices there. It just made the painting go a lot quicker and a lot easier. And, you know, you don't have to have a real thick coat of paint on. Just a nice, almost a wash is pretty much all that I needed. And you know, you can paint your castings or, you know, the snowflakes if the clay is still a little wet. I I had watched a video, I can't remember if it was from the Iron Orchid sisters or not, but I believe they said something like if you do put the paint on, you know, because the clay shrinks, I guess, but I didn't run into any trouble with cracking or anything. As you can see, I don't even have any cracks in any of my snowflakes, so I didn't experience any cracking or any issues with that at all. Okay, so here you see me taking some aged bronze, and this is the Prima wax, and I'm just really, you know, with my fingertip just adding a light layer of wax over the areas there, and I mean, it's super quick and easy. It just, oh, so pretty. And I decided that they don't really look like snowflakes, so I thought maybe if I added a little bit of the silver over it. And I was going for gold and silver, which is why, you know, I used the aged bronze. I wanted more of an antiqued gold shade, and the aged bronze is really one of my favorite shades. I have been struggling on getting Prima waxes lately. They changed their packaging. I don't know if that was part of the reason for the delay in trying to get them back in stock. They were out of them for a long time. I mean, clear back to June. And I had placed an order, and I think I just got them in maybe last month in October. So they were out of them for quite some time. Okay, so my snowflakes still look like medallions, like old world vintage medallions. So I decided to take some white chalk paint, and I'm going to just dry brush a little bit of the white on there, hoping to make them look a little more snowflakey, because right at the moment they just don't look like snowflakes to me. So I thought if I made them more white, you know, they'd look more like a snowflake. I love them. I just think they're so pretty, and I was really wanting some of that silver and gold to still show through, so I was trying to be really careful not to apply too much chalk paint over what I'd already done with the waxes. And I'm really loving the overall effect of it, and I think it's starting to look more like a snowflake, actually. I was really wanting kind of a vintage Victorian sort of feel is what I was going for. And there we have it. I really, really like it. And I thought I would just kind of heavily go over just the ends of it with the chalk paint, just the very tips of the snowflake there. And you can still see a little hint of that, you know, the aged bronze wax and the silver show through. Just really love the look of this. It gave it almost kind of a frosted look is kind of what it, you know, reminds me of. Okay, and so I'm going to do the same thing to my smaller snowflake here, just lightly dry brush on some of the white chalk paint. And this is so relaxing to do. I mean, you turn on some Christmas movies, you know, get your clay castings, snowflakes, whatever it is that you're going to make, get them all ready, paint them up, and it's just lots of fun here. I did decide to add a little bit of blue just because my decor that I have has blue in it, and I just wanted a little hint, so I did add just a little blue wax there. Okay, so here is my Dollar Tree vase. I decided to take some broken chain, and I grabbed just whatever I could find in gold and silver. And what I'm going to do is apply a drop of glue just to the top of the rim of the vase and let some of the chain dangle down. Now, it was hard to get a good angle with the camera because I had to keep the vase upright and my camera's facing down from above. But I do show you how this looks. And you'll be able to see just where I apply those little bits of glue. Now I am using a fabric glue. So I found that this fabric glue works great for gluing down metal. And unfortunately, the brand that I'm using here, it went out of business, or I have not been able to find it. So I'm thinking they went out of business, but you can go to JoAnn's. They have the Fabri-Tac glue and you could use that. The one thing that I love about this glue is it sets really quickly and it really holds things really good. Like I said, like metal. I use it for a lot of different things aside from just fabric. You could also use Beacons 1, 2, 3, or is it 3, 2, 1? 3 to 1? I know it's Beacons, no, 3 and 1. I think it's 3 and 1. You could use that glue as well. And the broken chain, I actually picked this up years ago. I bought, I think, like 5 pounds of broken chain. I just happened to get a steal on it. This was, again, probably 10 years ago on eBay. And so you could go to eBay and maybe they still have those lots of broken jewelry where you can get chain. But I love having lots of broken chain to work with. I use it for a lot of different things. I find it's a really easy thing to use to just add a little embellishment to, whether it's in my journal making or, as you could see on my vase here, which I think gives it that Victorian look that I was going for. I love the way it looks. And so now I'm taking my Snowflake, and again, when I did the clay casting of it, I let it dry around the vase there so it would curve, and it just makes it easy for it to just, you know, kind of mold to the vase there. Now I'm going to take some pearls. I got these glass pearls at the Dollar Tree too. I love these glass pearls. They just have that really rich look to them. You know, they not like the plastic pearls. It has a beautiful sheen. Love these glass pearls. I'll probably pick up some more. But yeah, I'm just taking some of them and gluing them down onto my smaller snowflake, just again to add that little bit of embellishment to it, to, I don't know, make it look as pretty as possible. Okay, I think that it's still missing something, and so I decided to take a button, and I found a gold one with a pearl, and it worked perfect. It fit perfectly in the center there. And then I decided to take some of the, I think it was the next size up of the pearls that came in that set there, and I decided to take and apply them to the ends of my chain. So you can see above the vase where I have the pearls, and I just took a dab of glue and let the chain kind of touch the top of the pearl there. And so all my chain, the ends of it have pearls, and then I took and added pearls to the tips of my larger snowflake. And I just love, love, love how this has turned out so far. And here you can see me glue on some of those pearls to the tips of that larger snowflake. Okay, so the last thing is I thought I'd create a little dangle with some more broken chain at the bottom of that large snowflake there. And so I'm just taking and kind of gathering it. And I'm just going to take a dab of glue, and starting at the middle part of my chain, I'm going to take and just, you know, kind of push that to the back of the snowflake there. I'm using my die cutting tool to do that. And for the one side of my chain there, again, I'm just gathering it, put in a drop of glue, and then just tucking it behind my snowflake. So I want to create a few loops is what I'm trying to do there. And then I'm going to do the same with the other side. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know, because I don't plan these things ahead of time, I cut my chain, and I probably shouldn't have. You'll see why here in a second. But I decided that I wanted a few loops, and then I wanted some single strands. And after I cut the chain, I realized that it wasn't balanced enough, so I had to take the chain that I cut and create a few more dangles there. And so I just gathered it again, applied a dab of glue, and just added a little more to that other side there. So I probably shouldn't have cut my chain, but you know, you can see how I did that. It's super, you know, super easy way to create these little dangles, and so cheap. You know, if you're looking for chain, again, you can search eBay. Maybe you'll look out and find somebody who's selling lots of broken chain for super cheap, or you can always go to Hobby Lobby, use your 50% off coupon, go to the jewelry section and pick up some chain. I always love to have chain on hand because I use it in so many projects. Okay, and as you can see, it just has turned out to be really gorgeous, I think. I don't know what you all think, but I am loving how this turned out. To me, it just looks like something you'd find, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't find it in Pottery Barn or Anthropology. I don't know. But I think it kind of has that high-end look to it, and I'm loving the way it's turning out. What you see me doing here is I took some of the larger pearls, and I decided to make, you know, a strand of them to create kind of a ring holder is what I was thinking. I thought it might look kind of pretty going around the bottom of the vase there. Not sure if I'm going to actually use that or incorporate it, but it was just an idea, and I always like to show kind of my ideas, my thought process in my videos. And you know, maybe you like something, maybe you don't. You can always take and change things up to your liking. So I decided to use a little bit of the Dollar Tree crocheted ribbon. I do end up pulling this out later on. I don't know. When I started to put it with some of my other decor items, I didn't think it really went, but I do like the look of it. I think it softens things up a little bit, and it gives it more of that maybe shabby chic or Victorian kind of feel to it. And then I'm just going to finish off with some of those smaller pearls again and put a little dab of glue on the pearl, and then just touch it to the end of my chain there to give a little decorative element to some of my broken chain that I have, some, you know, my dangle that I have there. And the glue that I'm using, the only downside to it is it's very stringy and it gets all over your fingers, and you'll see that everything starts sticking to my fingers. But you know, it usually you can rub it off pretty easy if you get it somewhere where you don't want it. And yeah, I really, again, love working with the glue because it just sets everything so quickly, especially when I'm working with metal. The one thing with hot glue is I burn all my fingers when I'm using hot glue, and I find that it doesn't hold very good after a while. It seems like things fall off, or the glue just kind of, it tends to, I don't know, it just loses its hold. So that's the one other reason why I use this glue over hot glue. And there is my vase. I really love the way that it looked. So it was a cheap vase to make. I mean, if I'm just including the clay that I used and let's see, the pearls and the vase, I'm thinking I put in maybe $3-4 to make this vase. And again, you know, that's not including the cost of the mold or things that I already had on hand, like the paint and the wax. But if you're wanting to make something similar, and let's say you don't want to make the investment with the clay and the wax and all of that, you could probably find some ceramic snowflakes or wooden snowflakes that you could paint up and do something kind of similar. Okay, I'm going to work on my next Dollar Tree item here. And this is just to have some fun with some Dollar Tree items. It's not something that I normally do. I don't know if I'm going to incorporate this more and more in some of my videos because I love working with Dollar Tree items. I love doing home decor. As most of you know, my videos mainly show you demos on journal making, mixed media, those types of videos. But I would love to do more home decor. I would love to show you guys you know, all the wonderful thrift store treasures I find and what I do with them. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on if you'd love to see some of those videos where I incorporate more home decor projects. So let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And it is something that I, you know, love to do. So you know, as far as my schedule right now, it is really insane because of the COVID thing. It's just me, and I have my makeup business. I have my retail business. I'm designing for Carabal. I'm designing for Blue Fern. So my videos, I would love to do as many as possible, and I have a lot planned. I can say that anything I put out, I try to make sure it's as high quality as possible. I don't like to do a video just to get a video out. I like it to be a good video, a substantial video where you're really learning something. So again, if you want to see those home decor videos, you like this video, let me know, give me a thumbs up, and I'll be happy to do some more. Okay, so what I did is, you see me painting my deer, and I had some black and midnight blue acrylic paint, and then I have my white chalk paint. Because I didn't want the sheen that acrylic paints give, I mixed it in with the white chalk paint. I only had white and brown chalk paint to work with. So to get the color that I wanted and the sheen that I wanted, that's why I mixed that black, midnight blue, and white chalk paint all together to get kind of that cool gray tone. And then you'll see me here with 2 more Dollar Tree ornaments. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to paint them with that same mixture of the black, midnight blue acrylic paints and my white chalk paint. And, you know, I'm just kind of mixing it really sloppy like, as you can see there. And I found that I wanted, you know, I don't want to mix it all perfectly because I liked the variation. You'll see when these dry, you can see a little bit of blue come through. You can see a little bit of the darker and lighter tones come through. So I found that just kind of doing a, you know, a really kind of careless mixing of my paints there gave me these really cool variations. And it gave me the chalk paint sheen that I was going for instead of the, you know, the kind of satin sheen that acrylic paints give. So if you're ever short on chalk paint and you don't have very many colors, you could take some of your acrylic paints and just mix them in to get whatever color you like. Now, when I'm painting these ornaments that you see me painting here, I am just doing kind of a really quick and not perfect coat of paint on them. I really kind of liked the distressed look of leaving some of that, you know, a little bit of the glitter coming through, but not too much. I really didn't want any sort of shimmer, but it gave it kind of a distressed look to where if I just left parts not painted, just really kind of liked the look that it gave. So I did a really quick paint job on these. Now you could see when they dried, see that variation that I was talking about? You could see some of the blue come through. You can see those lighter and darker tones. I really love the way that they turned out. Now I'm taking some of the Bronze Age Prima wax, and I'm just applying a little bit of wax here and there to the branches of the wreath and the antlers and the ears. Now, if you don't have Prima wax in the shade, or you don't have any wax for that matter, you could use metallic acrylic paint and just dry brush it on as a substitute for what you see me doing here. I do have the Prima waxes back in stock. I believe I have most shades back in stock. Again, they were out of stock for a long time, but I love always having a few shades on hand, especially like a gold or a silver tone, because I use them for everything when it comes to creating more of a vintage look or wanting something to look more antiqued. I find that these waxes just are so simple and easy to use and create that effect in, you know, giving more of an aged vintage look to whatever piece it is you might be working on. Now I applied some of this brighter gold, and to me, you know, it was a little bit overkill. So I decided to take some of my white chalk paint, and I'm going to dry brush with the white chalk paint over all of it, but I still want hints of that gold and the Bronze Age wax that I applied to come through. And you'll see that it just, you know, you have this little sheen of wax that just kind of shines through. Now I did heavily chalk paint the deer, but I'm just lightly going over the branch areas and the antlers to kind of make it look like little flocks of snow are, you know, have fallen down on the deer's antlers, ears, and the branches. And again, I'm really liking the way that this is turning out. It's the look that I was going for. It has kind of that rustic charm to it. And I think it looks less and less like a Dollar Tree ornament. I really didn't care for them as they were originally. I suppose for $1, I think they're pretty amazing, to be quite honest. I think it's amazing what you can get for $1 at the Dollar Tree. But to me, this kind of takes it to a whole new level. And I'm really loving the way that they're looking so far. Better than what I imagined. So now what you see me doing is I'm taking some more of that aged bronze Prima wax and just adding some to the branches. I wanted to bring back more of that bronze color to kind of separate the branches from the colors of the deer's antlers. And I decided to take a little bit of the silver wax as well and just add little bits of silver because I have silver and gold kind of as my theme of what I'm doing this year. I wanted to do more neutral tones. Last year I did a lot of the teal, blue, and reds, and that seems to be a theme for this year. I decided to do silver, gold mainly, with little accents of red here and there. And I had to add in the blue again because my living room decor has blues in it. But okay, so now I'm taking the white chalk paint and I'm dry brushing that just pretty sloppy like onto my other deer ornaments there. And just really quickly, I'm not even trying to be perfect at all, just kind of really sloppy like. A really sloppy dry brushing, I guess is how I can describe it, is all that I'm doing. Super easy to do, and it gives it that really rustic look that I was going for. Okay, so after you get everything all dry brushed with the white chalk paint, the next thing that I'm going to do is, again, using a Dollar Tree item, I found these wood stubs here, and to me they just reminded me of little miniature logs, and so I decided to take and place them around the feet of my deer. Now again, I know that the camera angle is not great, and I do show you once everything dries how it all looks, but from this angle you can at least see where I'm applying the glue under the feet of the deer, and this will also make it so it's more stable. It'll be able to stand up better because without these logs, the deer falls down. And again, it gives it that woodland, rustic look that I was going for, and so I just kind of play around with the arrangement and have it to where it kind of creates this look of this deer kind of walking over these mini logs here. Like the size and proportion of these pieces of wood just happened to work perfectly with the size of the deer, I thought. And so I'm using just a white glue. You could use Elmer's glue. Again, I'm not sure if they have that at the Dollar Tree. I haven't really looked for their glue. I'm just using my own white glue, my brand. And so while that's drying, I'm going to take some of these silver, I loved these silver glitter branches from the Dollar Tree. And I took the part that had the wire because it was very sturdy and very durable. And then I took a flimsier part and I'm gluing that flimsier part of that silver branch there and gluing it onto the wire part. You'll know, like when you pick up a bundle of these from the Dollar Tree, you can feel where the wire is and it's really hard and you have to use wire cutters to cut through it. That's what I have, kind of securing everything so it's not so flimsy. I hope that makes sense. And then I took some of those golden rose gold berries that I also found at the Dollar Tree. And then I'm taking some twine, again from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just tying that around the branches. And this was just to give it kind of more of that rustic look, give it another sort of texture to kind of calm down some of that shimmer glitter effect. Just taking that little bit of twine, just kind of, I don't know, give it more of that rustic look that I was going for. But again, you could, if you don't like the twine, you don't have to add the twine. You can change it to your style. I liked the look of it. And so here you see where I'm adding in those rose gold berries. And I'm also adding in some of those glass pearls. I love these glass pearls. I am going to pick up more of these. They just have a beautiful sheen to them. They don't look like those cheap plastic pearls, probably, you know what I'm talking about. And it's just one reason why I love them. They really have that more expensive pearl look to them. I love these pearls. So here's my antlers. Love the way that they turned out. And so, yeah, I think they look way better than those horrific plastic antlers that were on him previously. We kind of gave him a whole new makeover here. And I'm using my fabric glue again to glue the antlers onto the back of the ear there, just because it needed a really strong adhesive, I felt. Now you could probably use hot glue. Again, I don't use hot glue because I will have blisters on every single one of my fingers and then I wouldn't be able to do anything. I cannot do hot glue. I just can't. Now what you see me doing here is I'm taking some of my modeling paste and I'm filling in that hole where the antlers used to be. And there is my deer. I love the way he turned out. I so love him. I think he turned out so cool. Like, again, way better than I thought. I thought that I would take some more of that silver branch, little pieces of it, just to kind of create the illusion of little branches on those logs there. And it kind of ties in with the antlers of the deer. Just to kind of, add a little bit more here and there. I'm just adding glue to the back and just kind of sticking it onto those logs there, little pieces here and there. Now to me, I don't think this looks Dollar Tree at all. And everything you've seen me use here, aside from the chalk paint and the paint, was all from the Dollar Tree. The branches, the pearls, the deer itself. I mean, all from the Dollar Tree. And I am just really thrilled with the way that this project has turned out. Again, I had no idea really how it was going to turn out, and it turned out way better than I thought it would. Really love it. I'm going to make more of these. I mean, I have two here that you can see. I have the one to the left that I still have to do, but I am, now that I've done this, I am definitely going to make more. I might even gift some because I just think that they're so pretty. And what I'm going to show you here in a little bit is how I take and incorporate these to make them into more of a candle holder sort of display. And so I'm really excited to show you the next part of this project. I hope you all are enjoying this so far. I'd love to hear your comments. Your comments really give me a good idea on if you like something, don't like something, if you'd like to see me do something. So please be sure to just take a little time, leave a comment, let me know. Again, if you're liking the home decor, let me know. I'd love to do more videos. Now what you see me doing is I'm taking a little more of that modeling paste mixed in with some of the white chalk paint, and I'm just kind of dabbing it onto areas of those logs to make it look like little bits of snow on the log. And I think that just kind of gives it that finishing touch that it needed. Okay, so done with that ornament. We're going to move on to the next ornament here. I'm taking some of the gold glittered branches this time and applying pieces of it to the sections of that branch wreath there. Again, it just keeps it kind of rustic looking, but gives it a little bit of glam at the same time, but not too much, not too overkill, just a little accent here and there. And that's why I'm just taking these little pieces. It kind of gives it more of that frosted look too, I think. Now this trim that I'm showing you here, I picked it up at JoAnn's. It was buy one get two free. I figured the cost on it, and for the yardage that you get, it ended up being, I think, around $1. So that would be like $1 a yard. And right where that seam line is, you can kind of see, I did take some modeling paste. You could use joint compound if you don't have modeling paste, or maybe spackling if you can find some spackling, to go over that seam line just to make it so it's not quite as noticeable, and it makes it not look as cheap either. So I did do that also. I somehow, you know, edited that out of the video, but I did use that to kind of make that seam line disappear. And then I'm going to finish it with this little bell, and I think it will be done. I so love the way that these all turned out. There it is. Okay, so after I put the buffalo check trim scarf on this ornament, I went back to this other one, this other deer. And now that my antlers are, you know, everything's all dry, I decided to just take a little bit of my leftover piece there and apply some around the neck of this deer. Just a little bit. And then I took one of my clay Iron Orchid snowflakes that I made, one of the really small ones, and I'm going to glue that onto the side there. And again, you can see me working kind of back and forth. This is where ideas kind of pop into my head, and I thought I better add in a few of the berries. I had them on my other deer, and that's what gave me an idea to add them to this one. Now, you notice probably right away that my gold bell and these rose gold berries kind of maybe don't go so great together. Maybe it's just me that notices it. So I do end up taking some of my bronze Prima wax, and this is going to dull down that gold and just kind of make it match a little better with some of those berries. And I decided to apply a little more to the antlers and, you know, little areas here and there, just to kind of tie it all together. Again, if you do not have this Prima wax, you could use metallic acrylic paint as a substitute. And you can always, like if you're using a metallic paint and your gold is too bright, you can always add just a little bit of black to it, and that will age it if you don't want it to be this bright gold color. And so I'm just doing that to this other one, and again, oh, I just really love the way that these turned out. They looked so much better than what I pictured. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, I've seen some Dollar Tree videos. I haven't seen anybody do anything quite like what I'm doing. And if you enjoyed this, you know, please let me know. I thought this was so much fun. And I would really like to do more videos like this. I love taking things, repurposing, taking things from the thrift store and finding ways to make them beautiful. I like things to look elegant and rich looking. I just love to create, you know, and I have to do it on a budget. I have to do it on a budget. My husband makes me do it on a budget, but you know, it's fun. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you really liked this video and you want to see me do more of the home decor type videos, the only way I will know to do more is if you leave a comment and let me know. If I don't get much feedback, then I'll know that, you know, maybe I should be sticking to journals and not home decor. I just thought that this was a really fun video. I thought it was, you know, really affordable too, to be able to take some things from the Dollar Tree and make really pretty home decor decorations, whatever it might be. Okay, so I'm going to take those other ornaments, and I decided to place them on one of the Dollar Tree vases, and I'm going to take a flameless candle and place that inside. And I just, oh my gosh, I love this. I am thrilled with how these have turned out. I just am thrilled. Okay, so here you can see where I took the buffalo check trim, just applied a little glue, wrapped that trim around the vase, and then again applied glue to the back of my ornament, my deer ornament, and just placed it on top to create this adorable, I think it's very rich looking vase. You know, it's got that rustic, what do they call it? Rustic woodland. Yeah, rustic woodland look to it. And then I'm going to place a flameless candle inside. And yeah, there it is. And I'm just going to let this dry, set it to the side, and show you how I'm going to make that candle holder display. Okay, so I have my two deer here. I have this coffee sign that I got at Dollar Tree. Again, I thought that it would work well to kind of use as my base for my deer, and then I'd put that frosted candle holder in the center. And again, everything came from Dollar Tree. So I liked the metal brackets on each side, and I'm going to keep those, but the coffee, yeah, that's obviously not going to work. So I do have to remove that, and I just scraped that off, and then the adhesive was a little sticky. And to remove some of that stickiness, I just took a baby wipe and wiped over it, and that actually worked really good in kind of getting rid of that sticky residue that was left behind. But I didn't worry about, you know, removing all of the texture, because I'm going to, again, take and paint over it and kind of make it look like there's snow laid down. So it didn't have to be really perfect. And I'm going to have the deer that will be glued onto it. So, you know, if you see that kind of come through, it's not that big of a deal. And I'm just really kind of quickly painting on a light layer of that brown black, so I get this dark brown color, similar in color to what, you know, it originally was. And I found that I did have to, you know, do a second coat, but it did dry really quick because I did a light layer, and the second coat was all I needed. I just kind of pounced the paint on too to, you know, make it cover a little better. And as you can see, that did the trick. So 2 light coats of paint, and again, it does not have to be perfect, because you're going to see I'm going to take the white chalk paint, bring that back, introduce it, kind of make it look like there's some snow on, you know, on the board there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is that buffalo check trim that I had. I'm just going to take it and cut it the length of my board, and then I'm going to take and cut it in half lengthwise. That just happened to be the perfect measurement, so it made it really simple. The one thing that I liked about this trim too is it's got that wire edge, so it gives it that finished edge, because the way that it was originally, like you can see now, it definitely needed something. Now you could just paint this. Let's say you don't have trim. Maybe you could take some of the silver or gold glitter branches and put some of that on the edge. There's so many different things that you could do. I just felt that this trim would soften things up a little bit, and it ties everything together really nicely, because I have that buffalo check scarf on those other deer and going around the neck of my other deer. So yeah, I love the way that looks. Now I'm just going to take some molding paste and some white chalk paint here. And all I'm going to do is just kind of take my stencil brush and pounce some of that mixture of the molding paste and the white paint onto the board, just to make it look like patches of snow are on the board. Now the main parts I want to focus on are the ends of the board, because after I'm thinking after I place my deer on there in the vase, I'm not really going to see the middle section of the board all that much. So I really want my snowy effect to look good on each side of my board. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put on a little bit of Christmas music as you watch me kind of pounce this white chalk paint and molding paste onto the board. And then I will be back to show you how we complete and finish our project here. So I'm just putting the finishing touches on. I'm just gluing down my reindeer and my glass vase. Everything again came from the Dollar Tree. I hope you all enjoyed this video and got some ideas, some inspiration. Maybe take some of your Dollar Tree items that you might already have and find ways of sprucing them up. This video was so much fun. And again, if you liked this home decor video, please be sure to leave me a comment. Let me know if you'd like me to do more, and I'll be happy to do some more videos like this. I hope you all have a wonderful and blessed Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for watching.